Hare Krishna. Yes, I'll make a little introduction since this is my class, and I'm expecting that you're all having translation. Translation over there.
What's going on?
Everybody here speaks English. You're doing Russian. Okay, fantastic. This is an experiment. Let's see how it goes. And rather than my just doing a presentation, I'm going to try having a debate. I'm not quite sure what the topic is, but Mañjarī Mataji is the non-devotee, and I'm trying to be the devotee. And the idea is that we have a little, it's a different type of interaction. It's somewhat lively, and it'll go along, I don't know, different lines, hopefully with the idea that it gives the opportunity for devotees to debate, to present Krishna consciousness, and to not defend. That's the basic principle. We should never defend Krishna consciousness. When I wrote my first book, which was the Bhaktivedanta Purports, I don't even know what the title is. Is that the full title? Originally, it was Defending the Bhaktivedanta Purports. And I showed the draft of it to Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, who was Srila Prabhupada's editor and a very intelligent devotee. And he said, "No way." He says, "We don't defend anything." In other words, Prabhupada didn't defend anything, Prabhupada attacked. So you shouldn't think that you need to, and that was a real sort of eye-opener for me. I don't know how long, maybe 25 years ago. So you shouldn't feel that you need to defend Krishna consciousness, but as they say in the world outside, the best defense is an offense. So
recording in progress.
We'll start. Maybe Mañjarī Devī Dāsī can paint a picture to you of who she's representing. I won't say who she is because that's not who she is, but who she's representing for the point of this debate, considering that we're lacking a real hard-boiled atheist. So, would you care to point out who you are?
Yes, I'm Dr. Elif Yılmaz, a researcher in the field of religious studies connected to the Ankara University. And I specialize in the study of comparative religion with a focus on religious practices and the role of spiritual discipline. I'm interested in how structured daily practices like meditation, prayer, devotional rituals function in both traditional and modern contexts. Over the past 2 years, I have been reading the books of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder of your movement, and particularly his explanations of devotional service and sadhana bhakti. And I have also spoken to members of ISKCON, and I visited your community in Hungary and have spoken with different individuals. And while I find Prabhupada's works insightful and very interesting and thought-provoking, I do not entirely, I can't make really sense of everything that he says as an academic observer. So since you're a practicing devotee and a disciple, I would like to pose some questions to you.
What kind of observer did you say you were?
An academic observer.
Uh-huh. What's an academic observer?
We look at the tradition externally and try to understand its practices and compare it to practices of other religious traditions.
What does it mean to look at things externally?
I am not a practitioner myself of the religions that I study, but I'm trying to understand their methods, what they claim to achieve with those methods, what are their experiences, how they talk about their own experiences.
What happens if a religion's founding principle is you can't look at it externally, you have to look at it internally?
Very interesting question. Yes, I have...
It's just like a jar of honey. You may want to look at it externally. Are you ever going to know what it tastes like?
Yes, well, first I want to understand...
No, will you know how it tastes like?
It's a question if I want to taste it or not, because it may be poison called honey.
Whatever it is, it may or may not be, but if you want to know what it tastes like, can you do it externally?
Do you eat anything and everything someone gives to you?
Can you read it? Can you taste it externally? We're not talking about poison, we're talking about religion. So can you taste honey without opening a jar?
No.
Okay. So if our principles of Krishna consciousness are based on a foundation which Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya Mama Vijanati, but you can only understand this if you're a practitioner.
Yes, but I've heard this example that like when you're given a map, first you have to see if it's a bona fide map before you start using it to tread a path.
How do you know if it's bona fide?
Well, that's what one has to find out.
No, you're the one talking about a bona fide map. How do you know whether a map is bona fide?
Well, in case of a map...
We're not talking about religion. We're talking about a map. How do you know if a map is bona fide?
Well, I see who is the publisher, who gave out this map, where does it come from, who is giving it to me, maybe someone who has already used it and has achieved a destination.
You have faith?
Yes.
No.
Faith
so
and knowledge.
That's what we do. We look at what's the origin, who is it that's following it, who has followed it in the past, what was the results, and then you consider what a spiritual path is.
Yes, I agree. I can relate to this line of reasoning.
So this is our, for instance, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna or Arjuna is saying, Asita, Devalo, Vyasa, Narada. You know who Vyasa is?
Yes, he's claimed...
You know who Narada is?
Yes, I've heard.
Asita,
no,
Devala.
Asita, no. But Narada and Vyasa I have read in your
these are all great saints.
Okay.
So they've accepted this process, and then evam parampara praptam, and in a process of disciplic succession, now we're not talking about a publisher, who started a publishing house 20 years ago. We're talking about a spiritual lineage that has a historical, factual lineage that goes back 5,000 years of real spiritual academics. So is Vyasa a spiritual academic? Since you know about Vyasa.
I know that he's claimed to have written your scriptures.
If you see the scriptures, I'm saying, how do you know whether he's a spiritual academic or not?
Right now I'm focused on your sadhana practices.
I say that because how do I know that you're a bona fide spiritual academic?
I have a degree from a university.
Vyasadeva also had a degree.
I don't doubt
He had a
Vyasadeva.
degree from Krishna.
I don't have a problem with Vyasadeva being a bona fide person.
Okay.
My question...
So Vyasadeva therefore says certain things 5,000 years ago. And self-realized souls have repeated that same message over the course of the time. Those who taste and view the tradition from within and practice very strict practices. By the way, can I ask you, do you smoke?
No.
Do you drink?
No.
Are you a vegetarian?
Yes.
Very good. Do you offer the food that you eat?
No.
Why not? Where does it come from?
I say thank you for the food before I eat.
Who do you say thank you to?
To the Supreme, my understanding of God.
Who's the Supreme?
There is a person, in my understanding, who created this realm, and I'm grateful for everything I get from that person.
Who is that person?
That needs to be learned.
Okay, so are you ready to learn it?
That's why I'm doing my research, because I want to understand the world and the Supreme Person.
Okay, so have you up to now found out who it is?
No.
Okay, so I'll tell you who it is. In the meantime, will you accept my offer of who the Supreme Person is?
I will accept that this is your version of who the Supreme Person is.
Well, in the meantime, you don't have anything else.
Yes, that's true.
So until you have something better, why don't you accept this? Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhu. He says, I'm the source of everything. That's what the Supreme Person is, someone who is the source of everything.
I accept that God is the source of everything.
Yes. So now Krishna says, I'm that God. You got a problem with that?
No, but I think God can have different names, and all the traditions, religious traditions,
God has many names, but he also has the name Krishna.
Yes, that's what you call him.
But we're not talking about a name, we're talking about the person who said that.
Why not go to the spiritual practices?
Do you have any problem with that? You say you want to know who the Supreme Person is. I'm telling you who the Supreme Person is, because how long have you been practicing your field?
20 years.
So in 20 years you still haven't found it. So now why don't you accept it when someone offers it to you? Otherwise, I don't take it that you're a very sincere searcher.
I can't just take everyone tells me something, so I have to think about it, contemplate, observe, because
Fine,
you say one thing and another person says something else.
We already agreed that it has to come in a bona fide lineage. I told you what the source is.
But this isn't the only bona fide tradition in the world, religious tradition.
Well, you haven't found any other.
I have.
But you don't. But how can you have a religious tradition who doesn't know who God is?
It's not so easy to know who God is.
I'm telling you who God is. It's very easy to know who God is.
You claim who God is based on your scriptures.
I don't claim anything. I'm just repeating what I've learned from my spiritual master, who's repeated from his, and that's what a spiritual lineage. And that goes back to Vyasa, who was the personal witness of what Krishna said.
You have faith in the words of these people.
Yeah, and we agreed in the beginning that you have faith.
Yes.
But right now your faith hasn't led you anywhere after 20 years. So how long are you going to keep digging around? And when you come up with something that's bona fide, why do you then immediately reject something that has an answer?
Reject. I didn't reject. I just said I'm not convinced yet.
How are you going to become convinced?
I'm here having a dialogue with you. I'm trying to learn more.
So the dialogue is that you have to go inside. You have to open the jar.
Okay,
You have to practice it.
Okay, so let's talk about your practices.
Yes, but first let's accept whether you have to learn the tradition from within. In other words, unless you practice it and you see that you get a predicted, prescribed result. So now
This is where I have a problem.
Okay, you may have a problem, but let's start off with this principle.
I understand the principle, but I don't accept that it's working.
It may not be working for you because you haven't even come in yet. But first you have to recognize that in order to really experience and to know whether it works, you have to practice it yourself.
I can also speak to others who are practicing and have their opinion whether it works for them or not.
You can.
So I have done that and I see that it doesn't work for everyone.
Did you ask me?
No, I'm here asking you now.
Okay, well ask me.
Clearly you have faith in this process, so I'm assuming it works for you.
Say that again.
Clearly you have faith in this process, so I assume you have it works for you.
No, it's not an issue of just faith. Pratyaksha vagamam dharmam. Pratyaksha, direct perception. I see you sitting here. That's not an issue of faith. Is it an issue of faith?
No, I understand that you have the experience that it works for you.
It's a fact, no.
You live as a renounced monk, and many of your practitioners live in the world and have jobs. How practical is so many hours of spiritual practice a day in this day and age when we have so much to do, even just to make a living? People have to work so many hours and they have to take care of family. You don't have children. They have so many other obligations. How is it a realistic expectation to do like 5 hours of regular sadhana?
Why is it that you've gone all of a sudden to people's ability to practice? Just come back to the principle that it's not an issue of faith. The realization is not based just because I have faith in it. It's because I have a practical experience of it. So when you taste the honey, that's not faith. It's a practical experience. Your senses connect. Huh?
But you have the experience, but not all the members of ISKCON have the same experience as you do.
That's all right. Do all of the students who you went to university ended up becoming a professor like you?
But you gave the example of tasting honey.
No, did they?
Can they taste the honey?
Did they? Did they?
No, there are different people with different experiences.
Did they?
Did they what?
Did they become all professors like you?
No, but many did.
Why didn't they become professors?
Maybe they had interest in other things.
Maybe they did. And what else? So maybe some people have not completed a course. So maybe some of your other peers didn't just complete the professor's course. Maybe they jumped out and realized that they were wasting their time and they should go into something more substantial, like digging ditches or something like that. And maybe they had other reasons why they didn't continue to pursue. That doesn't mean that becoming a professor wasn't an attainable achievement. So similarly, others may not, but some do. And this is not an easy process at the same time.
But those who did complete the courses, who did attend the classes, and who did want to become professors, they did. And I see that you have practitioners who do the sadhana that are prescribed in your books, and still they don't have the pratyaksha that you were talking about.
It takes time, because we're talking about a person. So you knock on my door, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm immediately opening it up.
Yes, I accept this, but...
So similarly, it's described that bhakti yoga, in order to achieve that perfection, you need two things. One is that you have to develop real affection for God. And the second is that you have to gain His mercy. So even if you develop affection for God, which many practitioners do, doesn't automatically mean that God gives His mercy, because He's a person and He's hesitant to see how serious the even achieved practitioner is. This is not an easy thing. We're not talking about, digging around and bringing up artifacts out of the ground. We're talking about seeing the Supreme Person. Why should it be something that's easily attainable?
I'm not saying easily attainable, but the practice should have some experience. And I know many who have been chanting for decades, and they still don't have this taste that your so-called acharyas are talking about, how nectarian it is to chant Krishna's names. And they sit down and they bored while they chant, and their mind is wandering, and they don't have this experience.
They may not be practicing it properly, because they may be committing offenses to the chanting. On the other hand, your experience of some people doesn't include all the people. Now, here are some people. Ask them, oh, look, there's this person over here, Mr. Nishinga. Do you get a taste from chanting Hare Krishna?
Yes.
Did you ask him?
I'm sure there are some who do, but I have spoken with others who don't.
Some who do, some who don't. Some who fall out of university, and some who don't, and some who make it.
Yes, but there are those who are really rigorously doing this sadhana.
No, they're not rigorously. Why not rigorously? Because it's a science. Are there some people who mix 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen and don't get water?
No.
Who doesn't get water?
Who don't add the proper ingredients.
And who don't do it in the proper way. So, this is science. We're not talking about faith, we're talking about a spiritual science. And science means that there's a observation, there's a hypothesis, there's a experiment, and then you can come to your conclusion. So do the experiment, but you have to do the experiment properly.
Okay, but this tradition claims that it's universal and can elevate anyone and everyone. In this day and age, the attention span of people is very short. And
why is it very short?
Because we're so distracted by so much information through the internet.
Where did they get the information from? Universities?
No, I'm saying it's a distracting world.
No, they got the information from universities.
Who did?
All the people who you say don't have an attention span. Because their heads got stuffed with so many unimportant things.
People who don't go to university are just as distracted as those who do.
By what?
By the modern world.
By things that people who did go to university created. So in other words, the product of the modern world is distraction, inattention, and stupidity.
Yes, I agree. But the point
is that what your science, your inquiry is all about?
No, my inquiry is about spiritual practices, how they work in the modern world, in the modern context for these people. The fact is, whoever spoiled the world, the fact is that people don't have attention.
He works for the second biggest shipping company in the world. He's a busy man. How many people you got working underneath you?
50.
Remember, he had taste for chanting.
Yes, yes, that's fine.
So it works.
I'm not saying that there isn't one individual who has taste.
He's not one individual.
I'm saying there are many who don't.
He's not one individual.
I'm just saying that I have spoken with some who have not.
Okay, you've spoken with some, but that's not a scientific approach.
No.
That you've spoken with some. Have you spoken with those who have got it?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
So I see that for some people it works, but I see that for many it's a super challenge to maintain this practice of chanting 16 rounds, 2 hours a day.
What's the alternative?
Meaning?
What's the alternative? What should they do?
There are some people who feel far more connected to God if they wake up and go for a run than if they sit down and meditate and chant.
They're not connected to God. There's no connection to God by running, aside from the fact that you're running on God's planet. Then that's your connection. But that's not a connection. You're not talking science. This is not a scientific thing.
They feel.
And if people would stop running in the morning and started chanting Hare Krishna, maybe they'd find time. Or if they stopped watching television, if they got off internet, if they got rid of social media, after all, they're only working 8 hours a day. So there's plenty of time if they prioritize. But if you don't prioritize and you try to squeeze it in here and there when you're on the way to work, on the bus and so on, or while you're driving or while you're cooking, then no, it may not work.
There is so much more that people have to do in their daily lives than
Like
the
what?
8 hours of work.
Like what?
So many things. They go shopping, they cook, they eat, they clean, they just
That's
maintaining
nothing new.
life.
Everybody's been cooking, eating, and shopping for the last thousands of years.
But not everyone has done 5 hours of spiritual practice in their life besides
No, people have been cooking and eating. This is not something new.
No,
Tell me something new.
People have to work more, they travel to their workplaces. Life is much more complicated than it used to be.
Why is life complicated?
Hundreds of years ago when there were simple villages and people had the time. Why is it
complicated?
Well, I'm not saying the world is going in a good direction. I'm just stating the fact that now people are distracted and busy.
Why isn't it going in a good direction?
That's not the topic of discussion
here. That is
here.
the topic of discussion.
The topic of discussion is that people don't have time to do all this.
Because they're not going in the right direction. Why is the world not going in the right direction? Because they're not following the laws of God. Now, you're interested in religion. What is the definition of religion?
Religion is...
not your definition. What is the definition?
There is no the definition. There are hundreds of definitions among scholars for religion.
100? There's no such thing. There's no two definitions of what hydrogen and oxygen are.
No, but
there's only one. That's science.
But there are many definitions of religion.
There's not many definitions. What is God's definition?
Well, it depends.
What is God's definition of religion? Doesn't
it depends
require.
On which religion you're looking at.
Doesn't matter.
How they define it.
What is God's definition? Give me any religion.
It's a lifestyle culture that helps you come closer to God.
No. What is God's definition of religion? Dharma to shakshad bhagavat pranitam. To follow the laws of God. That's called religion.
Okay, I accept that this is your definition.
Okay, and because people don't follow the law, no, it's not my definition of religion. It's the definition in every religion. You find me a religion.
Your Bhagavatam's definition.
No, it's Bhagavatam's definition, but it's the definition in every religion. You tell me a religion that says that their process is not to follow the laws of God.
The process may be there, but it doesn't necessarily mean it is the definition
and because
of
people
religion.
don't follow, the world has become very complex. So you do have to deal with this factor because it becomes a real ingredient as to why you're not able to actually understand what religion is.
But the point is that people are distracted, and it's very difficult in this day and age to follow the same sadhana as they used to follow.
You're distracted. Your 20 years of scholarship is an absolute distraction because you're still digging around and don't even know what religion is. You're looking for something, but you don't even know what it is you're looking for. You just say, well, if I come across it, then I'll know what it is. How do you know what it is? You don't know what gold is. How do you know what a golden ring is when you've never seen one before?
How did you know this is it when you found Krishna consciousness?
How do I know this
How did you know? You sometimes you weren't born in a Krishna family.
I just told you. If it's a science. So science means you perform this experiment and you're going to see this result. So the result is already told to me. Now I'm doing the experiment, and you do the experiment right.
But before you start
doing the experiment, you asked me a question. So when you do the experiment, then you get the result.
But before
I experienced the result, although I may be retired, he also gets the same result. Vyas got the same result, Arjuna got the same result. He was busier than most of your people today because he was running the whole world. So he was the prime minister of the planet at that time, 5,000 years ago.
You know that he did 5 hours of sadhana?
He probably did more than 5 hours of sadhana, but you're just looking for 2 of what it takes to chant Hare Krishna.
No, but your sadhana includes your Mangala Arati and then all the other prayers and scripture readings. So it's 5 hours. How can that be expected of someone in this day and age, every day?
You look through, because every day everybody watches television, everybody goes to the movies, everybody looks at internet.
Not everybody.
Yes.
That's an exaggeration.
That's all right. But for the most part, that's what everybody does. You've got every child spending 5 hours a day on the internet. That's the average. I don't know, you have children?
No.
So 5 hours a day, do they have time to chant 2 hours?
I have spoken with some of your children in Krishna Valley.
No, forget about our children. I'm asking about the children.
I'm telling you.
You're talking about time. So I'm telling you, here's just one thing that they do. Here's just one thing that they do, which is that they spend 5 hours a day on the internet. Now, have they got time to chant Hare Krishna or not?
They would, yes.
They would, yes. Okay, so time is not an issue.
You talk about children. I was talking about adults with so many responsibilities.
Don't talk about children because you were talking about whether it's practical in this day and age.
Yes.
So it is practical.
You went to children. I spoke about adults who are busy with responsibilities. And then you spoke about children
adults are not 5 hours, but they also spend so much time. And they spend so much time on so many other things. So look at it, study it. I talk to so many adults, and they've got time.
I somehow come across those who don't have the time, although they are sincere people who want to improve their lives, and they just have to work so much to maintain themselves.
Then they don't have to. Then let them just chant Hare Krishna for 5 minutes a day. You start somewhere, and then you progress.
I was speaking with some of your children in Krishna Valley, and I see that they are encouraged also very early age to chant 16 rounds. And I spoke with some of them and I asked, why are you chanting? They couldn't explain. And I see them chanting means they're playing with their friends, have their hands in their bead bag running here and there. What kind of a meditation is this? And then they have this prestige that they're so young, chanting 16 rounds.
Children here who are doing that. Okay, but here's one of our children, but she's not young, but she's 19 years old. Do you want to ask her some questions?
Sure. After our discussion, I'm happy to ask questions.
Ask a question. Are you chanting 16 rounds?
When did you start chanting 16 rounds?
4 years ago.
4 years ago, so she was 15.
Oh, where's the other one? Okay, can you stand up, sir? When did you start chanting 16 rounds?
I was 13.
Okay, and was it a problem?
No. I was.
Do you like chanting Hare Krishna?
Yes, I did.
Can you give some evidence that you like chanting Hare Krishna?
I still do it.
Thank you. That was the right answer.
It is wonderful to
So
see that
these are children. You're talking about some fictive children.
No,
these are the real
children who I spoke
They
to.
may not all, and that's up to the individual.
Okay. I just see
But
that
it's
most
better
children,
that they try, and it's better that they play with chanting Hare Krishna than not doing it at all.
wouldn't it be better for them to sit down and chant 2 attentive rounds than to chant 16 rounds and make it a habit of not being attentive?
There's no children who are obliged to chant 16 rounds. I don't know which Krishna Valley you went to, but the one I live in.
Not obliged, but they see that it's a prestige if they do, and they want to please you, and then they say they chant 16 rounds running around, and
90% of our school children don't chant 16 rounds. In fact, some of them don't even chant 2.
Yes, because they don't have a good experience. Like you said, they don't have the
They
pratyasha.
never experimented to even have an experience. But as time goes on, and as they experience the world also, they start to become inquisitive, and a certain percentage of them continue on to become serious practitioners, but not all. And so, just because not everyone makes a successful experiment doesn't mean that hydrogen and oxygen doesn't make water.
Yes, but if they do the practice, they do put the hydrogen and oxygen together, it's still not happening.
It happens,
For some.
but if they're inattentive, as you say, then it won't happen, or it will take longer.
Let me ask a question. Is any of you ever bored while chanting Hare Krishna?
Put up your hand.
Please raise your hand.
Oh, there's another one over there who's
See?
born into Krishna consciousness.
They're honest people. You're always in ecstasy when you chant. You have the bliss spirit.
Why should they be ecstasy?
That's the pratyaksha, the happiness of chanting.
No. Happiness and
I don't think
ecstasy.
they dare to be honest in front of you.
That's your speculation. That's your speculation, but it's not
They're
an issue
ashamed
of
that
ecstasy.
they don't have that pratyaksha. See, here is an honest person.
This is not. Wait, let's finish here talking. This is what you're doing right now is not science. You asked 100 people a question. One person put up their hand to answer. Wait a minute. And now you say that there's more, but what you're actually doing is speculating. This is not science. This is how many people filled it out. You want to put a, piece of paper with people don't have to put their names. That's another thing. But right now, this is what you asked. This is the result you got. And then you did the typical thing that you and your smutty professors do, which is that you immediately abused the results that you got. Says, oh,
No.
everybody's just being intimidated. If you thought everyone was intimidated, why'd you ask the question to start with?
I was hoping that they're not, but I see because I have spoken to so many others who have honestly told me that they are bored sometimes.
This group that you're speaking to right now gave you that type of answer, so why don't you be scientific and accept that answer for the time being, because you don't have any other.
Okay, so does anyone find it a challenge?
But the point is this. that no one says that people are supposed to taste ecstasy when you chant Hare Krishna. You develop a taste according to your degree of perfecting the process. And it is not something that's going to happen overnight because it's not a cheap thing. So in the beginning, people may get bored. And in the beginning, people's minds will wander and so on, because that's what yoga is about. Any yoga.
How
Yoga,
long is the beginning?
Indriya, Samyamya. Any yoga practitioner. You go to any church, everybody's paying attention to the priest. No. I've been to churches, so I have experience. They don't. And that's natural that they don't.
It's a 30-minute sermon. It's easier to pay attention than if it's a 5-hour sadhana.
We're not talking about 5 hours sadhana. We're just talking right now about paying attention while chanting. And it's not expected that everyone will. There's a process. But if someone sticks to that process, then sooner or later, they will actually rise to that perfectional stage where they can pratyaksha, experience ecstasy.
They have to wait for so long often, so they
It's
lose
not
their
cheap.
they lose their enthusiasm.
It's not
because
cheap.
it's
I
too
see you
long.
don't have rings. Have you ever bought a diamond ring?
No.
Why not?
Why would I? What's the point?
Have you ever bought a diamond ring? Or if someone wants a diamond ring, is it easily available?
Well, it depends
Is
how
it
much
cheap?
wealth you have.
Whatever it is it cheap?
No.
No. So you have to be willing to pay the price. So if you want this, if you want reality, if you want the absolute truth, you have to be willing to pay the price. It's not a cheap thing that you just squeeze in here and there.
You can explain it away, but if
I'm not
you'll never
explaining-
be able to buy it, then
I'm telling you the
people may
truth.
say, what's the point?
Huh?
If you feel you'll never be able to buy it, then what's the point? I say, okay, then I can't get a diamond, I'll
Save.
buy something else.
Save up.
How long?
Save up.
I'll die before I get enough money.
Depends how much you want the ring. If you really want the ring, then you start saving. In other words, you accumulate, you accrue your spiritual assets. And that may happen by chanting, as I said, 5 minutes a day. But you start somewhere. So you save pennies, you save dollars, you save hundreds of dollars, but ultimately you need to save. So same thing, you have to start somewhere and you have to start building up. And it's practical. Why? Asita, Devala, Narada, Vyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. These are perfect people. Do you make mistakes?
Yes,
Do you cheat?
sometimes.
Are your senses perfect?
No.
Are you an illusion? In other words, you
Maybe
identify yourself with this body.
No, I think I'm not this body, I am a soul.
Okay, in
And
any
I
case, you got 3 defects, which means that with those defects, you can't really understand the absolute truth.
You've changed the subject.
I haven't changed the subject. I'm just telling you the qualification of this disciplic succession.
But everyone who starts this practice,
No,
not everyone, they're not those perfected people.
No, I'm telling you what they say. And what they say is the truth. And the basis, or at least one of the criteria that you can accept what they say is because they don't cheat, they have perfect senses, they don't make mistakes, they're in direct contact with the absolute truth, and everyone says the same thing, going all the way back to Vyasadeva. Isn't that quite interesting? And these people are professors. They are professors in religion, they are professors in Indology, they have tasted the subject matter from within. You have none of those qualifications.
I really look up to your acharyas, and I think they are
What does
quite
that
amazing people, but I still don't see that the sadhana they prescribed works in this modern age for the people of this age. So why not adjust it to something that works for these people?
It's already been adjusted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna, says is good enough for us. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Harinama eva kevalam. So we chant. We're not asking people to practice 5 hours a day. Those who are living in the temple, they are the ones who are practicing 5 hours a day. We're happy if people read Bhagavad Gita or the Bhagavatam a half hour a day and chant japa. And once they become a little experienced in chanting japa, they'll chant it faster than 2 hours. So
you're saying not everyone has to be a monk?
No, I don't say that. Well, when did you hear me say that?
Just now you were saying that you don't have this expectation of this much sadhana from everyone.
For all of the people who are not living in the temple, who are not monks.
Yes. So you don't expect everyone to live in the temple and be monks?
We don't expect 99% of the people to live in temples.
So they have to live outside in the world and they need to make a living, and you're so much against it.
They do it. It's been going on for 5,000 years.
Yes.
They're living outside.
Yes.
We have now so many people living outside. Here's one businessman, there's another businessman, there's another business, they're all working.
How did you become a businessman? Did you go to school? Yes?
No.
You didn't go to school?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, sure.
So you're so much against people being educated in schools to do a work.
Oh, you don't want to get into this.
From which they learn how to make a living in this world.
We're not talking about making a living. You were worried that they don't have enough time.
Yes,
I'm saying
because they have to go to school, they have to make a living.
That everybody has time. And we're talking about the people who've already gone to school and gotten out of school. Everybody's got time if you dedicate that time. And do you know why everybody has time? Because God gives them the time. That's why God has given you 24 hours a day instead of 12 hours a day, so that you can chant Hare Krishna. That's not that hard to understand, is it? Otherwise, you need 8 hours a day to work, 2 hours a day to eat, and so on. And you go to sleep for another 6 hours.
No, that's not realistic.
So 14 hours, you can make that's all the time you need.
That's not realistic. There's so much more in life you have to do, like cleaning and shopping and cooking and children. If you have children, you have to take them here and there. It's like, I see people, they can just barely sleep enough to live.
Okay, anyway, the principle is, why don't you move on? Because we're not going to change the sadhana, and we accept the fact that people are busy, and therefore this is the adjustment that's actually being made. Otherwise, the earlier practice was 64 rounds. So we've adjusted down to 16 for people. If people are serious about spiritual life, they'll make time, and Krishna will help them to find the time. Try it.
Okay, so I understand that you don't want to accept the fact that people don't have time. So let's move on to other aspects. For example...
No, you don't want to accept that people do have time, but they misuse their time. You're always talking about shopping, cooking, etc., as if nobody ate 300 years ago and nobody cooked 300 years ago. I'm making the point that this has been going on all the time.
For long now, women have to work, men have to work to make a living. It's hard to take care of the children like that. It's a different world now.
That's fine, but you can still find the time. Try it. Other people do. There are people here who will find the time.
I say some people do, but many don't.
If you don't,
and I've looked at other religious traditions, I've never seen one that expects this many hours of sadhana, spiritual practice.
Maybe that's why they don't get much result. Did that cross your mind?
I see that somewhere the people stay and are far more enthusiastic to continue their practices than some ISKCON devotees.
That may be. And you will also find that some ISKCON devotees are more enthusiastic than other people.
So
and ISKCON devotees, this is not the only thing that ISKCON devotees are requested to do is to chant 16 rounds. We give them other hard chores. Give up illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, meat eating. Not everyone's willing to do that. Some ISKCON devotees aren't able to stick to that. But that's the standard of human life.
Which cannot be followed by many human.
That's because your education has turned them into animals.
It's not my education.
Well, it's the education you participated in.
Yes, I also studied, but we need to study in this world many things to make a living. It's not just about meditation and spiritual practices.
You're saying that it's difficult to make a living.
Yeah, I'm saying in this day and age, I see for so many people, just to make a living is a challenge.
More of a challenge than there was 500 years ago.
I think
What
yes.
is it?
I think yes.
And that's your point, isn't it? Okay, so therefore, wasn't life 500 years ago better?
In many ways, I agree it was.
Yes.
On this
And
we agree.
what was better? What was the tipping point between 500 years and now?
Well, I don't think it's a tipping point. I think it's a gradual process. How we ended up where we are.
It's not a gradual process.
You think there was one thing?
The tipping point, there were few tipping points,
Industrial
but the first,
Revolution?
that's right. It was the Industrial Revolution, and then it was the Technological Revolution, the Electronic Revolution. So, and all of these revolutions.
I'm not pro-modernity. I'm just saying that this is a fact that the world is as it is now.
The world is as it is now, and I'm just telling you, let's just move on to something else. You have something else to ask. People, if they want, they will find the time.
All right. Let's move on, and I'll contemplate about the things that you've said.
No, you should practice. You should find the time. Have you ever chanted Hare Krishna?
Have I ever chanted? Yes, I have been in your kirtan.
That's very good. Now, have you ever done japa meditation?
No, I have not.
Okay, why don't you try? That's the experiment.
Okay, maybe I will.
And see if you get a taste.
I haven't been inspired to, because I've spoken to people.
Were you inspired to go to school?
Yes.
When you were a child, you were inspired to go to school?
When I was a child, when I was school age.
In grade school?
Yes. I like to study always.
That was you. But most children weren't. And that's why most of your colleagues, even in universities, spend their time in the pub, in the club, and in the disco, rather than actually studying.
Studying is not for everyone.
Yes, so studying is not for
people.
So, still, you had to go to school. You're forced. Government forces you to go to school. You like it or you don't like it. Why?
Because some basic education is important for everyone.
Similarly, some basic spiritual education, some basic chanting Hare Krishna and understanding what the goal of human life is all about is a must. Like it or don't like it, you have to do it.
You talk about devotional service which comes from the heart, and it has to be inspired, and you want to serve. So why you talk about forcing now?
It starts out from regulation. Why are you forced to go to school? Why is everybody forced?
I never felt I was forced.
Everybody is forced to go. Everyone is forced to go to school. And
why do you say forced?
It's obliged. It's a law. Your parents are thrown in jail if you don't go to school.
Okay, but it's not a force in a sense of...
It's a law. It's force. You don't do it, you get punished. That's called force.
The parents get punished.
But you're the one who's forced. So people are obliged. When you have to do the right thing, whether you like it or don't like it, just like you don't let your children just eat cake just because they like it. You oblige them ultimately to develop a taste for healthy food. And although in the beginning, all they want to do is eat rice and potatoes, but as they grow up, they start to develop a taste for vegetables and other things.
Some do, some don't. But let's get back to the point of sadhana. You also mentioned the concept of mercy, that people can get mercy from God. So why make a compulsory, forced thing if it's possible to connect to God and get His mercy?
Because God doesn't give you His mercy unless you make an effort for it.
Then why is it mercy? Then mercy means it's causeless.
Because
If
you make
the
a little,
price is the effort.
you make a little effort for something that is beyond anybody's ability. You make the effort, you do your best, and then God reciprocates. He gives mercy.
So why is He not giving mercy to those who have made the effort and they're not getting taste from their spiritual practices?
When they did things in a proper way, they got taste. They got some type of taste. Whether they lost their taste for one reason or another, that's something else.
Why didn't God keep them here by giving them some mercy so that they're happy here?
Because everybody's individual and they have free will.
Free will, but they intended to come closer to God. So why wasn't
If you
your
intend to
Krishna
come
helping them?
If you intend to come closer to God, then you will come closer to God. You just have to follow the process. And what is that process? The process is what God says. Not what you think, not what someone likes to do, but you do what God says. And what does God say? Mamekam saranam braja. You just surrender to me. So when we continue the process of surrender, aham tam sarva papebhyo, then God reciprocates. When we stop, you don't. You go to school, you drop out at a certain point. Education just doesn't continue on by itself. So this is education. We're talking about spiritual education, and as you accept the process, then you progress and come to higher and higher stages of perfection.
In this sadhana, you have these external aspects. How do you know that internally?
What's external?
You have to sit down in a certain way. You have these bags with these wooden
That's
beads.
not important. Sitting is not important.
But
No.
you do have these externals, how you have your sadhana, you have your temple singing, instruments, all these aspects.
It helps people identify with the internal.
So how do you know internal is actually happening? Because
Because it's a science. You can perceive it. Pratyakshavagavam dharmam sushukam kartumavyam.
Isn't there
How
the
do I know
danger?
what the honey tastes like? Because I taste it.
But isn't there the danger that someone keeps following the externals, but internally they're not really there? And
It's not an issue of just external, it's both external and internal. For instance, controlling the mind, controlling the senses is also an internal affair. So you have to think, you have to feel, you have to will. These are all internal things.
people like to belong somewhere, so they may come, they may do these external practices, but internally, like for example, your prayers are in the Sanskrit language. Do all your people understand what they're saying when they're singing in the sadhana sessions?
They can. Everything is translated. The responsibility is obviously on the individual to know what they're saying. And that's one of the reasons people don't get the result that they expect because they don't perform an activity with the proper knowledge. But if they do, then they will get the proper respect. If you have a student sitting in university and not studying, do you expect that person to get a diploma?
No, but how?
Okay, no. So similarly, why? Just because you're sitting in the temple, just because you're mouthing the mantra, unless you're actually making the effort, unless you're actually doing your homework, which is what you have to do in university, you don't want to call it force, but it is force. You don't do it this way, you're not going to graduate. So similarly, there's a process. Dharmantu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. God said, you want to know me? Then you follow this process.
How good is this process, your education system?
Do it. You do it and you see. You just try it. You're just talking and talking. We're not going to get anywhere anyway. We're wasting all these people's time. Do it and see if you get the result. Don't worry about some people. Some devotees don't get the result. No, some devotees don't get the result. Some do.
That I should.
But why do some
get the
people?
result.
Why do some people get the result? Why don't you look at that? You say some don't, but why is it that some do?
That's a question.
Why do?
That's my question.
Give me the answer.
No,
because the process works. That's why.
The process works for some.
No, the process is general, but it works for some. Is it that university works for some and not for others? No, it's because some study and take it seriously and others don't.
But why isn't your educational system good enough to make everyone want to do the process properly?
You want to lower university standards to the grade school level so everybody passes?
No, I'm not saying that lower the level. I'm saying that why don't they practice properly? Why aren't they taught to practice properly? Why don't they get it?
We're working on it. Why don't all students pass? But you can only do so much. Ultimately, it's up to the free will of the individual. We don't expect. Krishna already says that. What does Krishna say? That Manusam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschid mambeti. So here, Krishna says actually, Manusam sahasreshu. So out of hundreds of practitioners, out of 100 people, one will become interested in spiritual life. That's 1%. Manusam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhate yatatam. And similarly, 100 of those, 1% of those, which means 1 out of 10,000 people will actually attain perfection in this life.
And you're calling this a universal religion for everyone?
Yes? Yes.
But only 1 out of 1,000 is capable of practicing?
No, 1 out of 10,000 attains perfection. It's very rare. That's why you see there's only 100 people here.
I don't know how inspired I am to follow a tradition where I have a chance of 1 in 10,000.
You don't have to be inspired. How many students, how many grade school students end up becoming university professors?
It's not. Why is the comparison a professor?
Yeah, I hate comparing it to professors, but anyway.
You keep doing it.
But it's still very few students. Why? Because they have to finish grade school and they have to finish high school. Then in high school, 60% are dropouts. They leave after high school. Then they enter into university, and out of those, 25%, or at least other 25% leave. So you got 15% of the people who get education who actually get a diploma, which is the only thing that you can get a job with nowadays. And even that's not guaranteed.
Would you consider it lowering of standards if...
No, I don't consider it. No, we don't consider lowering standards.
I'm asking a question. Would it be a lowering of standards if they could pray in their own language instead of a language that they don't
Everyone
understand.
prays in their own language.
No,
when you
but your
think,
sadhana means you sing in Sanskrit and Bengali songs.
you pray in your own language. If they don't like the Bengali or Sanskrit, they can pray in their own language. But when we say Hare Krishna, this is not Sanskrit.
No, but your morning program and all those prayers, when you're collectively singing, that's
You
not
can sing it. You can sing it in your own language if you want. You don't like Sanskrit, sing it in your own language.
Wouldn't it help your practitioners if they really understood what they were saying?
They can try it. You can try it. I didn't help me, but I like Sanskrit. So it's not an issue of you want to change. The whole problem is that we should not change. Religion has conceded its very fundamental, basic principle of creation by accepting evolution. It's called prostitution. So why? Because you want to be practical. You want to be relevant. It's not an issue of being practical and being relevant.
Isn't it important to be practical and relevant?
No, because you're not being practical. Is being a prostitute practical?
No, but
would you become a prostitute?
Isn't it relevant?
Would you become a prostitute? It's not relevant. It's untrue.
Yes, there are things that are untrue, but isn't it important that a religion has to be relevant in the day and age?
Why do you brainwash all your children and teach them evolution in school when it's not true? And why do they teach it in religious schools when it's not true? Not all religious schools, but many.
You're going to a subject matter that doesn't concern me.
It does concern because you're talking about making adjustments. I'm giving you an example of the adjustment.
I'm talking about adjustments that work in this day and age.
How do you know it works? You don't do anything. You don't do anything that knows that it works. All you do is you just speculate. I'm telling you, chant Hare Krishna. Chant it 10 minutes a day. And see what happens to you. Are you afraid to do it?
No, I'm happy to
do
try.
It. Okay, do it.
Try, but I'm
Come
just
back
saying.
to us and let us know what happens after you do it for 10 minutes a day. And read one verse of Bhagavad Gita every day also.
I'm happy to read your Gita and I'm happy to chant.
Okay, so do
try.
it. No, don't say you're happy to do it. Do it. You have to do it. And see what the result is.
Okay, but can't we say that it is important?
So let's leave it at that you're going to do that, and you're going to come back and let me know whether there's a result. But you have to chant with faith. And to get faith...
You cannot instruct someone to have faith.
Huh?
You cannot instruct someone, you have to chant with faith. You either have faith or you don't have faith.
Why can't I?
Okay,
I just did. You can... I'm telling you, you have to have faith.
I'm not going to have faith because you say I have to have faith.
So you get nowhere. Krishna says you're going to get nowhere
faith
without faith.
On an order, then everyone you can tell a whole word. You have to believe in God.
No, this is when it works.
It's not going to make them believe.
You should just ask me the question of how you get faith. And you get faith by reading Bhagavad Gita or by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, then you'll get faith. That's why I told you.
I've been reading your books for 2 years, and still I have doubts.
You people always have. You live on doubts. Not you have some doubts. You are a doubt. You just keep reading. And many other people have doubts. You keep reading. And why is it that it's going to work? Because it's the truth. So the real question is, are you interested in being a professor, or are you interested in the truth?
I'm interested in the truth.
Are you interested in knowing what the absolute truth is?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Then chant, read, and let it, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, let it have its effect. It may be a slow effect. You may have to come back to me in another 20 years, but let it have its effect, and you'll see. You'll see what happens.
Okay, but one more question I'd like you to respond to is, isn't it realistic to expect a religion to work in every day and age? Isn't it possible that some things need to be adjusted because the world changes and people change and their psychology changes and their abilities change?
I already told you we're made adjust. This is the adjustment.
And it's the adjustment for eternity?
This is as low as you can go. In other words, beyond this is not, you can't go. This is as little as you can do. Otherwise, in previous ages, people practiced spiritual life for 100,000 years. Even you read your Bible, they were living for 1,000 years, and they were practicing spiritual life. If you want to be successful at all, the adjustment has been made at every age. This is the minimum. There's nothing lower than this. There's nothing easier than this. And the problem is, as you say, is that life has become so complicated and it's become such a difficult thing that people have been robbed of doing even the simplest thing. 500 years ago, they had time. Now they don't have time. Now they spend their time going to psychiatrists, going to doctors, drugging themselves, and doing so many other self-destructive things. Why? Because they have no hope. Because life has become hopeless. Why has it become hopeless? Because your educational system has robbed people of the right to understand who they are and what the ultimate purpose of life is, which people 500 years, 1,000 years had so much more access to. So if you want to do that, you're going to have to change your lifestyle. And those people that you're talking about who are working so hard and who are cooking and eating and going to sleep, that those people need to think that, well, maybe I should just adjust my lifestyle. And what's that adjustment? Live by what you need. And don't live by what you're brainwashed into living by. Don't live by all the wants. Don't live by greed. Just live by what you need. And when you live by what you need, then you have a lot of time. And that's the difference of the past. And yes, that is the science of today, is how to brainwash people into thinking that they need more and more and more and live a life of consumerism where they no longer have time to chant Hare Krishna, they no longer have time to do anything.
There's so many people around the world who have less than they would need.
Why? Because you got more than they need. That's why they have less.
Other people have more than they need. So some people have less than
Other
they need.
people have more than they need.
But there are many who don't have enough.
No, Ishava Shamidam Sarvam. God's created so that everyone has what they need. But when the Western world is living by what they want, then someone else has to pay the price. And so you exploit the Chinese, you exploit the Bangladeshis, you exploit the Asians and the Indians, and you keep pushing them down in poverty so that you can get a new mobile telephone every year, a new car every 2 years, so you can have 50 pairs of shoes, and that you can have a, what's it called, a fashion. So you can live by a whole fashion world where you have a spring fashion and a fall fashion, a winter fashion, a summer fashion, and change your dresses on a daily basis. Why? Do you need it? No.
No, but you just acknowledge that there is a part of the world where it's challenging to just make living.
It wasn't challenging before.
But now it is. I'm talking about now today, in this modern world.
Because you take more than what actually you need. So you take it from one place, there's only so much. You take it from one place, then it has to be taken off from somewhere else.
So you say God takes care of everyone, so how is He taking care of those who don't have enough?
he's taking care of everyone by providing everyone with what they need. And if the greedy people then take away from the other people, then that's not God's interference. That's your free will to live like that. And the whole idea is that people should recognize that they have to change their lifestyle. And when they do, other people will also have what they need because the balance is there. Other people will have what they need, and they'll also have the most important thing that they need, which is time, enough time for self-realization. And that time is there, and our time is up.
I very much appreciate your responses, and it was food for thought for me, and I will try to chant.
Try to chant?
I will chant. I will experience with your process. But I still have my reservations because I've seen that it doesn't work for many.
That's okay. Let's see if it works for you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Professor.
Śivarāma Swami Maharaj ki
Jai.
We could have stopped a little earlier for questions, but what goes on now, Prasadam?
Yes, Prasadam.
Okay. Okay, we'll see what happens tomorrow.